Yeah, welcome back, guys, to another video. I wanted to share a video with you guys about a person that left a message on my thread, and the guy goes by the name of at it's Benji. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I it gives me a degree of affirmation when I know that there's another person out there that kind of thinks along the same lines that I think, that I'm not crazy, because I'm getting responses that I'm hating, that I'm spending my time trying to bring somebody down. No, the reason why I'm passionate about this is because when this Colorado journey first started with Coach Prime, I was all in, and I still am all in. This is why I'm critical. People are not going to be critical of things they don't love. People are not going to be critical of things they don't have passion for. If I'm passionate about something, I'm going to be very critical. Anyone who's married, or anyone who has children, and anyone who has anything that they love, you're going to be critical of what you love because you want to see the best out of it. Now, we may have different opinions, but don't call me a hater, folks. I don't hate Coach Prime. I don't even know the guy personally. He has done nothing to my family. He hasn't harmed my kids. He hasn't done anything to me for me to hate him. I'm just being critical of the things that I see and speaking out on things that I do not agree with. That's it. I would have loved for him to come his first year and dominate. I wanted to see that. You don't think I didn't want to see that? I mean, he's a melanated man. I want to see him succeed. I want to see him dominate. I don't want to see him not do well, because him not doing well doesn't make me feel good. But when I see him doing certain things that's a hindrance to that goal of his and that goal of mine, and the same goal that many supporters have, then I speak about it. It doesn't mean I hate him. And when you guys say I'm hating, please try to identify a comment or some type of position that I held that you are in contention with, and then speak about it and rebut that. But just don't say I'm hating. That's too general of a term to cast out there. It leaves too much room for leaves too much room for ambiguity. There's no details, because if you already assume that I'm hating, then you're assuming that I'm coming from a position of hate. And people who come from a position of hate don't think logically. I would like to argue and say that I think that I'm logical minded. I think that I'm incorporating some degree of critical thinking in my assessments of Coach Prime. If you look at my earlier videos, I wasn't like this at first. The more information I gathered, then I pivoted and started to speak differently. It's not because I hate him. I've always wanted Coach Prime to succeed. That's why I followed them. Think about it. If I hate a team, I would not watch the games. Teams that I don't care about, or teams that I have a high degree of apathy towards, I don't watch. I loved Colorado. I loved to see how the team was put together. I wanted to see them do well. So I say all that to say this. I'm going to read the comment from It's Benji. He left a comment on the video that I made about Alton McCaskill when I said that he may be making the wrong decision for staying in Colorado. And before I read It's Benji's comment, I also wanted to say that I didn't know that Alton McCaskill's mom was on my thread. I was shocked. A couple of videos ago, this is a video I probably made about a month ago, she came on the thread. And I remember a lady, she goes by the name of Monica, and she said, "Thank you for supporting my son." Now, on that video wasn't addressing Alton McCaskill. Now, I did mention his name, but I didn't know whose mother is she. And I thought she was inserting some type of I don't know, some type of like euphemism of a term. You know how sometimes people say, "That's my brother, that's my sister." You may not be biological brothers and sisters, but you say it. Or a man may say, "Man, that's that young queen over there." It doesn't mean she's a literal queen. So sometimes people use proverbial verbiage in order to express themselves. So when she says, "Thank you for supporting my son," I was scratching that. When I first heard her say that, I was like, whose mother is? She's not Coach Prime's mom. That's not Coach Prime's mom, because I could see her profile pic. And I didn't say anything that would seem like I'm supporting Coach Prime, because to most people, they think that I'm a hater. So I'm thinking, is she being sarcastic by saying thank you for supporting my son? I'm like, well, maybe she thinks my son because she looks at Coach Prime as a son. I was just confused. And then fast forward to when I make the recent video with Alton McCaskill about the tweet that he made on X. And Here she was again on the thread. She said, "Thank you for supporting my son." And then it started to click. I'm like, hold on, is this Alton McCaskill's mom? So I still didn't believe. So what I did, I ended up going to Google. I said, let me type in Alton McCaskill's mom and see if the picture of her show up. And lo and behold, that same profile pic matched the pic that came up on Google. And I was like, boom, that's the real mom. Now, when I found out that I was the real mom, I was like, uh-oh, she probably doesn't like the fact that I made the comment about him not getting the good advice. No, I mentioned on the video, I said, I don't know who's advising him, that if he had anybody who was advising him correctly, they would have advised him to leave Colorado. I did make that statement. That's just a personal opinion of mine. But it was beautiful the way she responded to me. This is the mother. Okay, this is the mother. This is not somebody playing the mother. This is the real mom of Alton McCaskill. She could have got on the thread and blasted me. She could have been like, you don't know Ish, you shut your mouth, you just hate it. No, she didn't do that. And I respect her more for that. She responded and said, look, he is getting the good advice. We have an understanding over here. We are confident in what we're doing. And she left it at that. That's the mom. That's the mom. She didn't insult me, and I didn't insult her or I didn't insult Alton McCaskill or his family. I just felt, in my personal opinion, that excuse me, that him staying at Colorado was the wrong thing, but this is me speaking from a vantage point of support. I know he's so good. I'm thinking he needs to play so his talents could be exposed to the world. I'm just afraid that if he stays in Colorado, he may not get the ball that much. His talents will not be exposed. So that's the position that I'm coming from. I'm not coming from a position that I hate Coach Prime and I want all the good players to leave Coach Prime. I want players that are good to play for Coach Prime and actually excel in their talents being used to benefit the team success. Not just Shedeur Sanders and everybody else. It should just be the whole team concept. So when I saw her respond to my message and she still thanked me for supporting the son, I was like, wow, this is how adult conversations should go. She, as a mother, she had every right to call me a hater. She had every right to insult me. I'm not saying that she would be right for doing it, but we all know Mama Bear can come out. When you attack the son of a mother, and not that I was attacking him, but if she perceived what I said to be an attack, which she did not, because I was not attacking the family, I was just giving my personal opinion. She responded like, no, he is getting good advice. Prayed about it. I'm paraphrasing here. I'm not reading what she said verbatim, but in a nutshell, she just assured me that they know what they're doing, that they're fine with the decision that they're making, and she's fine with the decision that they're making in terms of dealing with Alton McCaskill's decision to stay with Coach Prime. So I thought that was just a beautiful way of responding to somebody who you don't agree with, rather than saying you're a hater, shut your mouth, or whatever. Okay? So I say that to say all this. It's Benji left a comment, and I'm going to read it. It says, until we see different, I believe we'll see the same exact pass to run ratio as last year. Now, what It's Benji is referring to is on that video that I made with Alton McCaskill, I was hoping, I think I made a statement saying, well, if Alton McCaskill stays, is he staying assuming that they're going to run the ball more, or is it going to be the same old pass? So when It's Benji responds on the thread, he's saying no, he doesn't believe that it's going to be different. Until we see different, I'll believe different. He believes that we're going to see the same exact pass to run ratio as last year. And I said that too because I felt like Shedeur going into his senior year and Coach Prime talking about what his son needs on the offensive line is going to be more of the same. It's about protecting the son so that the son could throw the ball all over the place. Then It's Benji goes on to say, he says people fall in love with Coach Prime's words when he himself doesn't even follow them at times. Now that statement made right there by It's Benji, does that mean he's a hater, people? Is he a hater? He's just making an observation. And I'm sure the fact that he can make that statement, if you asked him, the way you contend with somebody's message or content, if you think he's a hater because he made that statement, this is a clever way to respond to somebody who you think is hating, rather than saying that they're hating. This is what you would say. You would say this: when has Coach Prime said things that he didn't follow? Then make It's Benji defend his position. That's how public discourse happens. But if you call It's Benji a hater, then you've already killed discourse. Now, he's not going to respond to that. Now, he may respond emotionally and say, hey, I'm not a hater. You just, he may call you a prime sexual or something like that. Then we get into name calling, and we don't get anywhere with that. See, what happened, the correspondence between me and Alton's mother was something that helped us both evolve. Number one, she received my message. She responded to my message. And it's that. I can't attack that. And she couldn't attack me. Now, she could have attacked me, but she didn't. She took the very high road. But that's what we're all supposed to do. When we hear something that does something to our emotions, we're supposed to sit back, take a deep breath before we start, getting trigger happy with our thumbs. Listen to what the person said, and then make that person defend their position. Don't call people haters. So It's Benji is not hating. Your job is to make him defend his position. That's what public discourse is about. But when you start name calling, that gets killed in the process. So people fall in love with Coach Prime's words when he himself doesn't follow them at times. At It's Benji continues to say, he says the Coach Prime fan base bought into the idea that Colorado University couldn't run the ball just because Coach Prime said so. The yards per carry stats says otherwise, with 2 running backs getting 4 yards a carry almost every single game. Now, he defended his position right there. The reason why he's saying Coach Prime says things that he doesn't follow at times is that you're telling people that the running game is inept, when in actuality, the running game is not inept. The running game is serviceable. You just don't use it enough. And mind you guys, this is with a this is a limited sample size. This is not the team running the ball 20 plus times a game. A lot of the running stats for Colorado is also misleading as well, because most times when Shedeur would take off and run, they would count that into the rushing yards. And I don't believe you could count that into rushing yards. I mean, you can, but those runs were not assigned running plays. Shedeur is not a running quarterback. He runs to, create more space to give himself time to throw the ball down the field. He's not running to actually run. So the rushing yards and the rushing attempts are a little bit skewed. It should be worse than what it actually conveys. They didn't use the running backs that much. Running Dylan Edwards through the tackles is absurd. He's tiny. That lets me know that there was no intention of actually developing a running game, because I believe Coach Prime wanted it that way so he can have a justification and a validation of why he's not running. You look at the stats, and I did the same thing that at It's Benji did. If you look at my past videos, I showed you guys the running statistics for Colorado in one of the games. I said, no, the team actually gains positive yardage when they run. They just don't commit to it. But they continue to commit to the pass, even if at times the passing game isn't doing anything. So it lets me know that son and coach relationship, or that coach to son dynamic, is in a way polluting the grander scheme, the grander plan for the entire team. That relationship is taking precedence over the team. And I think it comes at a point where it's a hindrance. It's a hindrance to their progress. I just believe it is. I'm not hating. I'm just calling it as I see it. When you go against the logic and you continue to just force feed the ball in a certain person's hand because you want to, I don't know, that's his son. You want to see him excel, then it's going to hurt the team. So here, It's Benji is making a great point. He says the yards per carry stats says otherwise, with 2 backs getting 4 yards per carry almost every single game. But they're not running the ball enough to have the defense respect the running game to a degree that they have to actually monitor and watch for the run. They can't just pin their ears back to sack Shedeur. They can't do that for fear of having those running backs run right past them. Okay? Then It's Benji goes on to say, but this fan base behind Coach Prime is deaf to logical thoughts and thinking for themselves, it seems. Alton McCaskill, he calls Alton Alto for short. He says Alto will get more burn next year. However, but the number 2 showcase will be just as important as last year. When he says the number 2 showcase, he's referring to Shador because Shador wears number 2. So the dad is trying to showcase the son. It's an audition at the expense of the team. Do you think that Coach Prime would still coach the same way if Shador was not his son? Coach Prime would coach with a little bit more logic and sanity. But because it's his son, and I understand this, it's not me hating. It's hard. It's difficult to coach your son when your son is good because you want everything to work out for your son. It blinds you to the other aspects of the team. It alienates the other people. No matter how much you love kids, no matter how much Coach Prime loves the youth, he is not going to see other kids the same way he sees his son. There's a different love that a parent has for their child, for their own biological child, than they do for other people's children. It is what it is. You can love all children, but the same love and affection that you have towards your son is going to be different than the same affection that you have towards others. That's common sense. So here at It's Benji says that Alton McCaskill, he'll get burned next year. So when he says get more burn, he means that he'll get more. I'm assuming he means he'll get more like running plays. He'll get more rushing attempts. I'm assuming that's what he means. Then he also says, however, the number 2 showcase will just be as important as last year. So at It's Benji is saying that the same thing that happened last year will happen this year. He also says that number 2, which is Shador, his stats are more important than Colorado's wins. He put number 2 stats, and he has the greater than sign, and he has CU wins. So he's saying that Shador's statistics are more important than Colorado University's wins. And those are the same sentiments that I said earlier. I don't know this at It's Benji guy. We don't talk on the phone. He just thinks the same way I'm thinking. Because anybody who sees that, they see that. Now, I'm not saying that Coach Prime wants to lose. He's not going to deliberately go out there and lose. But it tells me, especially games where they were getting blown out in, games that Shador kept getting hit, where he could barely walk. At times, I was like, just throw in the towel. Put your son on the sideline and let him rest. Put in the backup. Coach Prime didn't do that, even though he knew the games were out of reach. He was into building his son's stats. And it's hard for you guys to see who have an overly strong affection towards Coach Prime. It's hard to be objective when you love the man so much. I don't hate the man. I want the man to succeed. I don't know him personally enough to love or hate him. So there's no emotional attachment there or emotional detachment. He's done nothing to me personally to have me garner up the emotions of hate towards him, and he's done nothing so special towards me for me to have love for him. So it's love nor hate. It's just objectivity down the middle, neutrality. And when I start to see Coach Prime do things that I'm for, then I'm going to speak on that. I'm going to say things like, hey, he did a good job with this. He did a good job with that. I like the way Coach Prime did this. I like the way Coach Prime did that. I'm not hating. Hating means that I'm going to find he can do something great and I'm still going to say it was wrong. No, I'm not like that. That's insanity. I'll focus on balance, folks. Focusing on balance is key. All right? So it's Benji says that Shador's stats are more important than Colorado University wins. He also says here that long as Shador gets his stats, we can excuse the poor product of the overall team coaching that we see and shift the blame on everyone but Coach Prime. And that's exactly what happens. When Shador has great stats and they lose, it's not Shador's fault. It's everybody else's fault because look at his numbers. But that's not the way team sports work. Remember when Michael Jordan came in the mid-'80s? He was averaging over 36 points a game. That wasn't getting him anywhere. He had the stats, but he couldn't bring along his whole team. He had to understand that the team concept is more important than his individual accolades. Coach Prime's affinity for his son, he's living vicariously through his son, having that success on the college level. Not that Coach Prime did not have college success. He did. When he played in college, he was great. That's why he played in the NFL. But when you get another chance to relive that college experience through your son, what father won't take advantage of that? So here, Coach Prime sits in the position of being a head coach, and his son is actually good. He's missing the point here. The point is not the elevation of your son's statistics. It's the elevation of the team statistics. And the best statistics that overrides your son's statistics is the W and L category. If you have more wins than losses, that's all we care about. And how you guys got the win is what gets you the credit that you deserve. Not your son throwing for 600 yards and you guys are losing every game. That's not how it works. And that's why I agree with it at It's Benji. It's the same thing. Everyone keeps doing the same thing. Oh, Shador is good. Shador is this, and they just give him more time. We get it. if he gives him more time. But what about the running game? What about giving them some time? To give Shador time. See, it's a give-take relationship, folks. You have to sacrifice a little to get some back. You can't have it all your way. This is not Burger King, guys. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't just have Shador just ball out without incorporating a heavy dose of the run. I really think the way the team was composed last year, now it's hard for you guys to think this way because Shador was the forefront. He was the one. He represented the team because he was the best player on the team because he had the ball in his hand. But the way the team was constructed, the running backs that they had, the offensive line that they had, they should have been a power running team first. Then you already have an established quarterback. You'll eat teams up. What can teams do when you have a rushing attack that's potent? Then you have a quarterback that can sling it. You're at their mercy. But when you only pigeonhole yourself to one aspect, which is the pass, you make yourself easily defendable. People can defend you easily because you're just one-dimensional. It's difficult to defend multi-dimensions. Much easier to focus on one dimension. And that's what Colorado was doing. So I agree. I just wanted to give a shout out to It's Benji for writing this comment. And he's not a hater. Well said, eloquently stated, and I agree with it. I totally agree. And this is what I think now. If next year comes and this doesn't happen, they run the ball more. It's not all about Shador throwing the ball every time. The press conferences, Coach Prime isn't throwing players under the bus. You're going to see me on this channel saying and pointing out those things that I see that are good. Trust me. I'm very objective, folks. I don't hate him. I want them to win and succeed. I do. But just because I add a little bit of constructive criticism doesn't mean that I want him to lose. That doesn't make sense. All right? All right, thank you guys for listening. And leave a comment below and tell me what you guys think. All right, thanks again for listening. Again, thank you, It's Benji, for the comment that you put on the thread. Appreciate it. All right, bye-bye.